Good morning, everyone. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. We are here at the start of Problem Gambling Awareness Month. We have a series of webinars coming up this month. This one is going to be on personality and understanding its connection to addiction. My name is Luis Del Olve, and I am the Prevention and Treatment Administrator for the Council of Compulsive Gambling. We very much appreciate you being here with us today. So the Council of Compulsive Gambling, 800 Gambler, better known as 800 Gambler, we're not for, nor are we against gambling. Like most people, we do believe that gambling is a form of entertainment, a legal form of entertainment in the state of New Jersey. Okay. We just, in talking with you and coming with you, and especially now during Problem Gambling Awareness Month, what we like to do is just bring awareness the fact that this is a risky venture. Okay, so there are risks to gambling. We want to make sure that people are aware of that risk, especially the youth. When it comes to prevention, we like to get the youth to sort of like delay engaging into gambling, because it can be addicted. It can become a problem for many people. So one of the things that we would like to do is make sure that people know the pitfalls, that people know the risk. So therefore, one of the things that we do, we go out there and we bring public awareness to problem gambling. We do presentations, we go to events, we speak with people. It is, for us, it is a form of public health awareness, because problem gambling is an issue that affects not just the gambler. It also affects the family. It affects the community. It affects everyone that puts effort and resources into being able to deal with these situations when it comes to gambling. So that's what we do. We go statewide. Our office is in Hamilton, as you can see the address here, but we are a statewide agency, and we will go wherever you are, wherever you want us to be there. Just call us up, let us know, and we shall be there. Okay. Now, this year is most special for us. Okay. This year we mark our 40th anniversary, and we're going to do so with a gala. We're going to honor Mr. Arnie Wexler. And listen, we would love to call you out, come out and celebrate with us. If you can go on our website, so you can register, buy tickets, sponsor us. We're here for the problem gambler. And of course, in order for us to do this, we also need you. We need your support. So this year is very special for us. We know we're going to have a great gala, and we most definitely welcome you to come join us and be up there. A lot of our providers will be there with us, because they are, we are their support system. The one that the individuals that do the hard work here are the providers that are in our network. They are there helping the problem gamblers in their family. So we thank them. We thank them for the work that they do. We most definitely appreciate their hard work, their effort. We appreciate the way and in the manner they do their job. Many people call our helpline requesting for help, and we want to make sure that everybody gets that help, and our providers are hard at work providing that help. So we appreciate it. Now, today, we're going to be talking about personality. We're coming across the air. I'm actually doing this from the house. So there's certain ways that you can improve the way I come into your home. The bandwidth and being able to have access. The PowerPoint will be available for anyone who requests the PowerPoint. Okay. Please, we have Mr. Gregory Gio monitoring our chat. If you have a question, if you have a comment, please put into the chat. Gregory knows this is a conversation. This is not just me sending information out your way. I would like to have a conversation. Many of you are professionals in your field, and we can all learn from each other. I can learn from you. So any comments that you have are very much welcome. Okay. Now, this is being recorded as everyone was made aware. So this recording will be, once we process it, it will be available on our 800 Gambler site. Okay. So personality. What is personality? Sometimes we give certain people a license, a free hand at acting a certain way, because we know, we associate that person with a certain persona, a certain behavior. Okay, that's part of the personality. The world sees us, the world sees us through our personality, how we display ourselves, how we interact with people, how we behave around people. Our characteristics are out there for display. Some, we may not like too much or try to avoid because of the mannerism. But listen, one thing I have learned, we must give everyone, and everyone must have the right to be who they are. How they believe they are to pursue whatever they would like to pursue, how they want to behave. And as long as, it's not offensive to us, as long as it's not hurting us, we should give people the leeway to be who they are, to display their personality. If somebody's behavior, of course, is out of control or it's affecting us in a negative way, we should raise our voice and say something. But otherwise, just to not like someone because of how they look or maybe some kind of way that they may act, it's just not cool. So let's give people the leeway to be who they are. Now, personality. If looking at someone, can we just look at someone and say, you know what? Is this person trustworthy? Is this a good person? There are certain characteristics and there are certain physical, in accordance to individuals who study behavior. You have people who make a living out of studying body language, out of studying people's facial expression, and they can, to a very close degree, they can actually determine a person's personality. I have seen that happen myself, where someone says, okay, well, listen, this person is this way, this person is this way. And some people are very good at how they do this. That's why sometimes you have so many scammers out there, because it's not just on the law enforcement side, and it's not just on the positive side. Okay, there are people who out there using their gifts for not so good reasons. So sometimes you can see a person's personality come right through. So sometimes people say that they wear their heart on their sleeve, or you see those people that wear their heart on their sleeves. That's a way to also tell someone, they let you know who they are, and that's cool. But then again, who do we know who is who? Until we speak to someone, until we get the person's story, until we're able to identify with this individual, we should hold judgment on people. Don't get me wrong. I for one do believe that we must use a judgment to keep ourselves safe. A lot of people says, I'm not judgmental, and that's fine. But my life, my experiences have taught me that if I am to keep myself safe, if I am to keep my family safe, I must base a judgment. I must pass a judgment within me on someone, because otherwise, how do we know? Something happened and we're like, oh, I didn't see it coming. Well, sometimes we do see it coming. Okay, so we have to act in a certain way in order to keep ourselves safe. The complexity of identity, well, it is what it is. It's complex. Here's a saying by an American sociologist that says, and I have used this so many times in the past when I'm dealing with the youth. It says, I am not who you think I am. I am not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Many times our behaviors are modified and changed based on how people see us. As a young man, we will always label people. There was one guy we called Crazy Charlie. And because Crazy Charlie was always doing stuff, we just called him Crazy Charlie. But I believe that Crazy Charlie's behavior was based on the way we saw him, on how he believed that we saw him. Because we gave the name Crazy Charlie, he used to act crazy. Or the manner, just some of the stuff he did was crazy. My house used to live by the train tracks. And Crazy Charlie used to do some crazy stuff on that train. I'm surprised that he made it into deep adulthood with the way he was acting. In school, many times, we hear teachers calling their students in a demeaning and dehumanizing manner. Children especially are most vulnerable to this. Suggestive behavior where we tell them about something, you are a certain way, you're dumb, or whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you want to tell them something, and you always use some sort of word or you say something, sometimes to hurt him, or sometimes you think that's going to catch his attention, but the child is listening. And sometimes they'll modify their behavior to match what you're saying. Words have meanings. Words can hurt or they can heal. So we most definitely need to be careful in the words that we use, especially with the youth, especially with our own children, or just children in general, because they're listening. And we don't want to give someone a complex or make them act a certain way because they believe that is how we see them. Listen, there are no wrong personality type, not in any kind of way. For the most part, a lot of people use personality and they view personality as extroverted and introverted. There's a whole lot more than that. Okay. There, according to Myers-Briggs, there are 16 personality types. We're not going to go into them. We definitely do not have the time to go into all these personalities and how these personalities affect us and what sort of mannerism is associated with each personality. But we are going to cover some, because the fact is, since we're here talking about how personality is connected to addiction, okay, we all know that some personality traits have higher risk of addiction than others. When I'm talking about addiction, I'm not just talking about gambling addiction. I am not just talking about substance abuse, food. I'm talking about everything across the board. Sometimes we become obsessed with things. Sometimes we become fixated on certain things. Okay. But some personality traits do have high risk of some sort of addiction or some sort of way where it can make us act outside of our best interest. And we're going to be talking about that a lot. Acting and behaving, interacting with people, doing stuff that goes against our best interests. Okay. I know we will say, some personalities do have, the traits do have some sort of that added plus that can aid them to get obsessed with something, to become obsessed with something, to get fixated on something. But don't get me wrong, addiction does not discriminate. Okay? Addiction can happen to anyone. No one is immune to addiction. Sometimes it all depends on circumstances, timing, okay? But an addiction can develop for many reasons. Under many circumstances, addiction can develop. And we got to keep that in mind. When we talk about prevention, when we talk about doing things that's going to aid us in being able to achieve the goals that we want to achieve, we have to stay vigilant. We just can't act as if it's not going to happen to me. Because the fact is that it can. You know, we always want to be on point as far as what we're doing and how we're doing it. But you know, we're human. We have our ups and downs. And sometimes some things can catch us off guard. Sometimes certain situations can catch us off guard. It's just like a virus coming into our body when our immune system is low. Okay? So we got to stay vigilant. Regardless of what we do or how we do things, we have to be aware and know that some people, some personalities, some traits are more susceptible to addiction than others. And, you know, this is one of the things that we're going to cover. Like I said, we're going to cover some of the personalities, right? The acronym OCEAN or CANOE stand for the big five, the big five personality. Openness. Okay, we're going to look a little further into openness. Conscientiousness. This is a level, this is where we have a new program at the council. It's called Cognitive Perspective Restructuring. It is a 10-week program that is free of operation. It's cost-free. It does not cost anything to run this program in your facilities, in your schools, wherever you are. It's a state-funded program through the council. And one of the things we're going to do with this program is our participants, whether they're students or they're participants in some sort of organization, we want to bring the participants' conscious level up. Because one of the traits of being conscientious is the fact that you're less likely to go against your own best interests. Okay, extroversion. We're going to hear this a whole lot because, like I said, some people just lock themselves into those two when there are so many. Agreeableness. This one's going to be interesting because a lot of people have a negative attitude or negative opinion when it comes to neuralism. So we're going to talk about that. It's not always that bad. So here we are, the 5-4. Look at some of the characteristics. They even place jobs next to certain characteristics. Because listen, if you have a plan in life, if you believe that you have something going for yourself, one thing that you must do, if you want a certain career. Now, there are some people that says, you know what? I want a career, I want a job based, that pays me the highest amount of pay, the highest amount of money for the least amount of work, okay? But sometimes we got to ask ourselves, does our personality support what we want to do? Because sometimes when we have a goal in life and we're trying to accomplish something, many times we are our own worst enemy. We erect these barriers before us. This way we do not achieve what we would like to achieve. And although we may believe in what we want, and we make wholeheartedly say, I would like to do this, does your behavior coincides with what you want? Some people say, well, the fact is, I don't know who I am. Knowing who you are, being self-aware, is something very rare. In most studies that you look up, you will hear that 95% of individuals will say that they're very much self-aware. 95% will self-report that they're very much self-aware. But once all the testing is done and once everything happens the way it happens, it turns out that only about 10 to 15% of the entire population of the United States can be considered self-aware. Okay. See, if you're a person that's self-aware, that means you know your weaknesses, you know your strengths, you know the standards that you hold, you know the value that you have. You have this humbleness to you that allows other people to approach you. You're approachable. If you believe that you're a certain way, here's the test. I want you to test yourself when it comes to this. You have an idea of who you are, right? This is my persona. This is who I am. If your belief system of who you believe you are matches your behavior consistently, okay? If you believe who you are and your behavior are walking side by side all the time, consistently, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm not talking about sometimes. Living a life is not a hobby. Okay? This is not something you do like you're working out. I'm gonna do this 3 or 4 times a week. No, being you, being who you are, it's a full-time job. It never ends. So if you believe who you are, and that coincides with your behavior, then you are who you are. If your behavior is not consistent, then listen, there's nothing wrong with checking with yourself. There's nothing wrong with checking in with yourself. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I'm going to recommend. Okay. How often do you check with yourself? We should do this every single day, many times a day. Okay. We're going to talk about thoughts in a little while. Checking in with yourself is very, very important. Okay. Now, when it comes to personalities, I say that addiction is a personality. I am not talking about addictive behaviors. Okay, I'm talking about addiction. The addiction itself is a personality. And sometimes, you know, some of us, we walk around with multiple personalities within us because we may be addicted to something. We may be fixated on something. Okay. And sometimes this personality, when it comes to addiction, some of the traits, some of the characteristics, is little impulse control. That's why it's called an addiction. It doesn't allow us to act the way we would like to act. Okay. We have an image of who we are, but yet we have this personality within us who's always hitting us up, nudging us. Listen, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. And sometimes we give in. We give in to that personality. I met a family whose father was a very, within the family, this man was, according to his family, he was great. He was a good provider, a good father, a good husband. On the side, he had an issue. One day, his daughter did something that she had always done. Okay. That day, it bothered him. This man who loved his daughter grabbed his daughter and just started beating her. He beat her with whatever he got his hands on. See, the family didn't know that he had a gambling addiction. And at that moment that his daughter was doing what she was doing, the other personality was nudging him. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. He knew he had other responsibilities, and he's trying to balance these two worlds, because it is two worlds. He's trying to balance it. And then the daughter does something that triggered them. And that's all it took. The personality, the addiction personality loves, blaming other people for his or her problem. They're very, very high risk taker. They always want to do things. And if they do something at a certain level, they got to bring it up a notch. They want to do a little more. They're very selfish. This personality is very selfish. One-track minds, instant gratification. That personality just wants what it wants when it wants it. I want it now. I don't want to wait. And that was going on in that individual's life at that time. The personality kept pushing. And he just wasn't ready. And here he is, just being frantic between two worlds. He has a very low tolerance for stress. And sometimes they'll give in. Listen, the world is a stressful place. You're going to find stressors everywhere. Not all stress is bad. Some stress is actually good. Okay. It depends what you do with it. It depends how you handle it, how you manage it. If you have a personality that's addicted within you, that's not going to help you handle those everyday stressors. And this personality loves doing dangerous activities. You might have a voice, you're about to do something, right? And you're not supposed to. I always say that if we have a soul, our soul is in our gut. How often do we get that gut feeling, right? And there are times that we'll try to do something, and the stress of wanting to do it, you have that struggle. You want to do it, you don't want to do it. You want to do it, you don't want to do it. It's so much that sometimes it'll give you the bubble guts, what we call bubble guts, right? You actually make your stomach sick. You'll make yourself sick. This personality loves doing dangerous activities. Look, the reason why I say this is because I have personal experience about this. I know about this. I know about having little impulse control. I know about shifting blame. I know about doing all these dangerous activities. And I know about selfishness. When you have a family, when you know that you have people depending on you, but yeah, you want to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, regardless of how it's going to affect other people. I was there. I would like to take some time to tell you my story. At the age of 22, I was arrested. I was eventually convicted, and I was given a 58-year sentence between New York and New Jersey. It was a two-state thing. Out of those 58 years, I served 25 years, 6 months, and 2 days. I was in prison from the age of 22 to the age of 48. I was released on March 8th, 2012. This month will be my 11th year out of prison. It is said that men can be created in prison, but prison is not meant for men. Being in prison, a man being in prison, goes against everything what a man is supposed to be. My journey into what I'm going to talk about today about this webinar, my change came or started way before I got out. There were certain things I had to do a certain way. You know, there's some days that things got really gloomy, really bad. In prison, you just never know what's going to happen one second to another. And one time you might be okay, and the next time you're just totally over the edge. So one of the things I told myself, I got out on March 8th, 2012. I spent 3 days with my family once I was out. Now, this decision I had made way before I came out, and I started working on certain things before I came out. But I sat down and I said, you know what? Never again. I will never, ever go back to prison. Bless you, baby. It's my daughter sneezing here. I will never, ever go back to prison again. Not because prison is so hard. Not because prison is so devastating to the individual, you know, physically do stuff, because the fact is, our society has made prison a little too easy. But I made a decision that I will not ever, ever go back to prison. So by me making that decision, right, of saying, you know what, I never want to go back there again. What am I doing? I'm taking off the table the things that's going to lead me back to prison. So there's going to be certain changes that I must implement. If there's something I don't want to do, then guess what? I must modify my behavior into not doing.
Luis,
Yes.
we have a question.
Yes.
We have a question from Victoria. If addiction is considered a personality, would it be a personality disorder or no? Because many of these things are able to be addressed and worked on.
It's not. Listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. What I'm telling you is the information that I'm giving you is coming from me. During the time of addiction, I can honestly tell you, Ms. Victoria, that it can be considered a personality disorder. However, it's a disorder that can be corrected. And the fact is, you know, for many people, listen, mental illness is very much real. And there are certain people, certain individuals that's going to require certain medication to help them along. I wasn't one of those, because my personality, that personality that I created within me, was of my own creation. So for me, what I went through, that personality that had in me, was not a disorder, because I was able to correct it with action. I don't know, did I answer her question? I don't know if she has a follow-up, any follow-up comments or anything.
No follow-up. I think you answered it. So,
okay. So no, Ms. Victoria, I don't consider this type of behavior when it's something that you do. Listen, practice behavior is hard to break. Okay. If I practice something every single day, and I make it part of who I am, okay, it's being done because it's something that I had just gotten used to it. I just got to do it. I can come out of it by doing the opposite, by doing things that I was not supposed to do. You know, one of the first things that I got out, and this is how I learned to behave a certain way. I told myself, number one, when I said, okay, I'm not going back to prison. That's out. I've been there. I've done that. I'm not going back there. I told myself that for 3 years, and I marked it down. I said, for 3 years, I'm only going to do what I'm supposed to do. Because I know me, and I know my thoughts. So it's very important for me to do what I was supposed to do, because otherwise it's going to be easy for me to deviate. And for me, it worked. Doing what I'm supposed to do on a daily basis worked for me. So when I was in prison, I met this individual. His name was Ali. I did not know that the New York prison system, what they do is they have mentors in the prison. They actually pay, some prisons actually pay all the prisoners to be mentors to knuckleheads like me. And I met this guy who, I'm gonna tell you right now, I love this man, although he's no longer with us, but he saved my life. That man is the biggest reason why I'm here today. I had a lot of support along the way, but the stuff that he did, the way he did it, actually put a lot of stuff, just implanted so much stuff in me. He told me, he said, he used to call me Baby Pa, because he says I used to act like an old man in a young man's body. When I first met Ali, his name was Ali. When I first met Ali, I believe I was around 24 years old, 24 going on 25. And he said, Baby Pa, I'm gonna tell you 4 things that if you apply these 4 things every day for the rest of your life, you might get to be as old as me, but not in a place like this. You see, Ali was 64 years old when I met him. 64. He had already done 32 years, and he had another 62 to go. Yeah, see, Ali was not going anywhere, but he decided that he's going to make or give his life meaning, make his life meaningful, and do something while he was there. And then he caught on. He latched onto me, and he gave me stuff that I really needed, and it helped me. One of the first things that he told me, he says, one of the things you got to do is you got to develop a life philosophy. I want you to give yourself a philosophy that you can work with. So I started reading books, because another thing he told me was people hide secrets in books. So if you want to know what they know, you have to read. So I started reading a lot of books. And one of the books that I really liked, that I kept reading, was the books by Immanuel Kant. He was a philosopher. And Immanuel Kant, K-A-N-T, he had a saying that says, enlightenment is man's exodus from his self-incurred tutelage. For some reason, this resonated with me. Now that Ali had opened my mind to something else, I wanted as much of it as possible. So I just kept reading, just kept reading, just kept reading. And I started developing certain philosophies in life. And you know what? In time, although I was still in prison, I was still doing a lot of stuff that I was doing, all of a sudden I was acting differently. My attitude started changing. You know, one of the things that I did? I wrote, in 1989, I wrote a mission statement. I have a personal mission statement that I wrote. One of the messages that I got while I was reading this book was a saying by Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale said, the strangest secret in the world is that you become what you most think about. Think about that. You become what you most think about. I can change who I am. I can become who I want to be. And all I have to do is start thinking correctly, thinking in a way that's going to support what I want. It is said that the average human being has about 66,000 thoughts a day. 66,000. We're always being bombarded with information. And if we're not careful, if we don't sort those thoughts out right, they can hurt us. I mean, think about how we get information, right? Through what we see, what we taste, what we smell, what we hear, what we touch. And one thing that we have to be careful with is how we feel. See, thoughts are going to provoke certain feelings in us. And those feelings are going to prompt us to act a certain way. And sometimes that act is not usually in your best interest. You know, Ali taught me that mentoring is important. I am a product of mentoring. Some of the things that this man told me way back then, you know, I overlooked a lot of it at that time. Listen, to tell you the truth, I was just a young punk. A lot of people say, you know, we need to motivate people. We need to get people going. We need to get people moving. And if we motivate people, we're going to get the right result that we want. You got to be careful. You got to be careful who you motivate. See, like me, I was a knucklehead. If you didn't take care of that, it's like having a core current, you know, like a gambler, you know, dealing with core current situation. And, you know, they're in some facility and I'm dealing with the gambling issue, but I'm not dealing with the underlying situation. So just imagine motivating a knucklehead or motivating an idiot. How dangerous is that? We have to be careful how we direct the motivation and who we direct it to, because if we don't do it at the right time, in the right manner, giving them the right information, we can have a little monster in our hand. Okay, so we got to be careful. I believe in mentoring. When I go around and, you know, on behalf of the council, I'm doing presentations, I'm talking to people, I'm talking to the youth, I'm going to schools. In this moment in time, what I'm doing is I'm planting a seed, because once upon a time, a seed was planted in me. But now at 58 years old, I'm still reaping the rewards of that harvest. I'm still harvesting what's coming out. My daughter, come here, mama. My daughter's 4 years old. What Ali taught me, I'm passing on to her right now. It is never, ever too early. You have to start from the very beginning. Children, by the age of 7, will have developed a belief system. And if that belief system is faulty, our children are going to grow up with distorted thinking, distorted thought of view. Those filters, those thoughts, see, those thoughts are filters, and that's how we see the world. If I give her faulty information, this machine, this computer of hers is not going to function right. Because that system, those filters that she's using to see the world, to interact with your children, to interact with people out in the community, it's going to be distorted. Her actions, her behavior are not going to support what she wants to do. So I'm going to keep planting stuff in your head, baby. Is that okay? No. Okay. So that's what we have to do. We have to plant seeds. We can become who we want to become. All we have to do is think about it. Starts with a thought. Everything starts with a thought. A person can change. Your personality is not fixed. It's not unchanged. It is not permanent. You know, I have a friend. Actually, he's a mentor. He was a counselor in the halfway house. And he wrote this book. I tell you, I love reading. He wrote this book called The 13th Step. His name is Michael Myers. Yes, Michael Myers, but no relation. Michael T. Myers. No relation to Michael Myers, okay? No relation to the horror story. But in his book, he accredits, in one of his pages, he says, the 12 steps of AA and AA saved my life. We at the council, when people call our helpline, we do refer people to GA. We do, okay? Because we believe in that fellowship. But the reason why AA, NA, GA, and all these support groups, the reason why they work for certain individuals who actually go on a path and stay on the path for the rest of their life is because they go to a personality change. They go to a personality transformation. Mr. Myers went through that transformation. And usually that transformation, you know, Jim Rohn is a motivational speaker who I listen to all the time. Jim Rohn says that the strongest emotion is disgust. People go into true change when they feel disgusted about whatever situation they created within their life. I believe in that. True personality change can occur. Ms. Victoria, this is why I say personality, you know, having that dual personality within you is not really a disorder. In this situation, it's not a disorder because it can be corrected. It can be corrected with simple action. Those of you providers and clinicians out there who are working with clients, lead them through a true personality transformation. But first, how to work on their thoughts, how to manage those thoughts. Sometimes these thoughts become unmanageable, and that's when we can get into trouble. Mr. Myers, in reading this book, you know, it gave me that insight that, you know, we can change. Our nature can change. And then we can nurture those changes. If we don't like our nature now, we can change that. Change your thinking, change your attitude. It's how we see things. I told you, thoughts are like filters. You know, thoughts are like these glasses, right? I got these glasses on because they help me see a little better. Okay? Reading glasses. If without them, it's blurry. That's what thoughts do. Thoughts, they blur your vision, but they blur the vision of your mind. See, you see things through your mind because you're interpreting things with your mind. And if you have the wrong thought in there, you're watching people through distorted lenses. You're not watching situations and you're not seeing people for what they are and who they are. It is not the situation that you're in that's causing emotion. It's not the situation that you're in that's causing you to suffer. It's the way you're viewing that situation that's causing the situation in the life that's making it unbearable for you. Change your way you're thinking, change your attitude, and you better believe it's going to change your direction. I love this saying right here. Maybe life isn't about avoiding the bruises. Maybe it's about collecting the scars to prove that you showed up. Listen, when we're on a path, right? When we're in a path, when we have a plan, when we're moving, I got something dealing here. I know my plan is going to work. You know, I am on the road to success. You know what happens? Life shows up. And it's going to show up for everyone in many different ways. Life will show up. You will be tested. I'm going to tell you one thing what happened to me one day. And I'm going to share the story real quick. I'm in the mall in Elizabeth. I'm in the Garden Mall, and I'm looking at this store, right? And it has T-shirts, and the T-shirts have a whole lot of saying. And some of the sayings were really funny, right? Some of the sayings that people put on T-shirts is really funny. So I'm sitting there, and I'm in the upper level of the mall, but I'm across from where the store is. And as I'm reading the story, you know, I guess I was sort of smirking. I was sort of laughing because some of the saying were funny. Out of nowhere, out of my peripheral, I see a guy yell at me. You know, he just got up and says, "Hey, what you looking at?" So now I'm focusing on him. I'm like, what's wrong with this fool? He thought, because it's just what happened. I mean, I wasn't even big, but he thought I was looking at his girl. Right? And he's all upset. He's all irate. What are you looking at? You looking at my girl? So I started laughing because I thought the situation was funny. Sometimes in certain situations, I think it's funny. But all of a sudden, he starts walking towards me in a very aggressive manner. Automatically, we go, and when things like that happen, we go to our default mode. My default mode is to defend myself. Listen to what I'm thinking. So all of a sudden, I take a stand where I put my foot back, and I'm looking at this man coming in. As he's coming in, my thought, what I'm thinking is, punch him in the throat, throw him over the railing. Listen, I'm not into these prolonged fights. So if we're going to get into physical, I'm going to end it as soon as possible, right? Those are my thoughts. My thought is punch him in the throat, throw him over the railing. As he gets close to me, my mouth, my brain, my mind says, I'm looking at you. That stopped in his track. He says, what are you, gay? Then he looks back and says, man, this guy's gay. I said, wait a minute. Just because I think the man is handsome and is a good looking doesn't mean that I'm gay. He said, oh man, you're gay. I said, you know what? Fine. But listen, that was a test for me. That was a test for me. If I would have done what I was thinking, I wouldn't be here today. Why did my brain and my body reacted the way it did? I wasn't thinking about that. I wasn't thinking about, coming off in that manner where it's going to disarm him. I was thinking of injuring him and getting out of there as soon as possible. That was my thought. That was my plan of action. But my body, my brain reacted on its own because what I did, because what I put into my brain helped me. My body becomes what I was thinking. My mindset changed. So now I'm acting. I'm moving around in a different rules. I got different rules to live by now. That was an automatic response that my body gave because I bought into my plan. See, there's a difference. It's a difference between believing in something and buying into your plan. When you buy into your plan, listen, you're going to live it. You're going to live that life. You're not just going to go around it. You're going to live it. You're going to live it with your body, with your mind, with your time. You're going to give you your time. You are going to live what you are thinking. That's the difference between believing and buying into it. Listen, we do and we shall become what we most think about. I most believe that. We want to avoid addiction. We want our children to have a good chance at a successful life. We need to try to mold their personality to match what we would like for them and for them themselves. It's not that we're picking what we want for them. We want them to have a good life. I don't want my daughter to just show up. I want her to show up in the right state of mind. I want her to know that she has a choice of how she shows up. She has a choice of how she reacts to people, regardless of how people are reacting to her. She has a choice, and we all do. We have that choice. I really want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Listen, this is where we are. You can come for help. Whatever it is, give us a call. We'll be there to help you. Now, Gregory, I will take some comments and feedback. I don't know if people are able to unmute themselves, or if you can give them the ability to unmute themselves. If they want to ask a question, if they want to say a comment.
I can allow them individually to talk. I don't know how to do a group unmute.
Well, that's fine. If somebody raised their hand, if you see them, it's something in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
If anybody has any questions, any comments, please.
Oh, thank you, Keith. We appreciate that. Thank you, Adelie.
You want to share what they say, Gregory?
We've got thank you, good presentation from Keith. And Deshonda, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. Awesome presentation. Adelie, such a great webinar. Keith, Luis's addictive personality is not in the DSM, but I agree completely that's a true affliction.
No, listen, what we spoke about is not going to be in a lot of books. Okay, I told you I'm coming from my end. My opinions and my comments, they're not, they're not, the council's opinion. This is my opinion. Anything I have told you, the way I dealt, they're my opinion. And you know what they say when you give opinion, right? Here's one of my life philosophy. If I'm giving my opinion, I'm never wrong. Although I may not always be right, I am never wrong. So, that's one of my life little philosophy, okay? I believe in the process, okay? One of the thing with our youth today is that our youth does not want to give the time to do the process. Listen, we all going to go through things. Every single one of us is going to go through things. Life is going to show up in some kind of way with every single one of us. And it's when we go through these things, it's not what happens to us as we go through these things. It's what we become as we go through that process. And sometimes we can't take a shortcut. Sometimes we have to let the process, unwrap itself. We have to go through it. If we go through the process, we give it the time, because the time is what we have to give it time. If we do that, when we come out at the other end, we're going to be so much better. We're going to be so much stronger. We're going to be so much wiser. But we have to respect the process. And we have to give the process the time.
Luis, the thank yous is rolling in. Everybody really liked the graphics and the visual presentation.
Well, listen, if anybody needs the presentation, just send us an email. I should have put my email. I'm sorry, I didn't put your right email. My email is Luis, Luis, @800gambler.org. Or you could just, you can just go on our website and request it. First, I would like to, before time ends, one thing I would like to do is we have hired some new individuals who are now helping us create our mission. Like John Zappa, Eric Meyer, Christine Palomino, and of course, Mikia del Valle. Thank you very much for coming aboard and helping us. We have a new executive director, Miss Felicia Grandin. She's at the helm. Miss Felicia, I really want to thank you. I'm sometimes my enthusiasm can get carried away, but Miss Felicia allows me and allows us to be able to make things our own, to be able to get out there, get the job done, and I appreciate that, Miss Felicia. Miss Alice, Adrian with the office support. Miss Alice, oh, wait a minute, Miss Alice, aren't you celebrating your 30th? Aren't you your 30th year right now? Miss Alice is 30 years with the council. Happy anniversary, Miss Alice. I know it's coming around. If it's not here, it's coming around. But I really want to thank you. The support and the information, the love, the care that you have shown me and the staff there at the office is just, well, it is, you are this way. We are this way because of you. And we appreciate it. Gregory, I see somebody's hand. Somebody raised their hand, Miss Dorsey.
Hold on, I lost them.
I believe it was Dorsey.
Okay.
But I do want to thank you. And I know Miss Felicia is watching, and I would love to hear her voice, and see if she could say anything to us. But I don't know if you can unmute her, Gregory.
Yeah, I can unmute Miss Felicia.
Yes.
Luis, can you hear me?
Yes.
Curtis Dorsey, Atlanta.
How are you?
I am fantastic, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Look, thanks for sharing once again. I wanted to verbally acknowledge that. I've been on seminars and webinars that you've hosted before. Always do a great job. Never heard your story, but your story did another enlightenment into what you do. And I thought it was important for me to share that with you. So thanks for sharing your story and being vulnerable to how people may receive it. Thank you for what you do.
Well, I thank you, and I do appreciate your words, Ms. Curtis. Thank you very much.
Hi, Luis. This is Felicia.
Hey,
How are
Miss
you?
Felicia, how are you? Great to hear you.
And it's great to join this webinar and the wonderful information that you've provided. And you are just such a pleasure to work with, and everyone at the council. We have such a wonderful staff who are supportive of our mission and of each other. I so appreciate being able to work with such wonderful colleagues who are passionate and dedicated to our mission. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. And Luis, wonderful presentation as always. Alice, congratulations on your 30th. You're just amazing.
Did I leave something out the bag?
Yeah, a little bit. All our new employees that have joined our staff, Christine, John, Eric, Christine, John, Eric. Am I leaving anybody out? And then of course, Mikia, who we are so excited to have on board, since we searched for her for quite a while, and she is going to be helping us to deliver our evidence-based school program, which we are in the process of rolling out, and we are just so excited to have all of you participate, in our mission, and excited about our new endeavors. And just thanks to everybody. And you did a wonderful job as always, Luis. It's a pleasure to work with you.
Ms. Felicia, thank you very much. I appreciate your words. And we pride ourselves on starting on time and ending on time. I really, again, would like to thank everyone for their time. I know how precious time is. So I appreciate you spending this hour with us. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you next week, next Friday on the 10th for our next webinar. Please go on there, register, and get ready. The information is going to be incredible, just like all our webinars are going to be. So we'll be seeing you this way, interacting this way. But if individuals need a presentations, if you want us to come out and speak with you, give us a call, and we would love to be there. Invite us in. Thank you very much. Gregory, thank you very much, my friend, for the support, and everyone else. And now I have to say, see you later. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Luis.
And anything you want to say, Gregory, before we leave?
Nope, it's been a great webinar. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And the post-webinar quiz will be linked after we end this webinar.
Thank you, Gregory. And I guess you can end it whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you.
Take care.